Refried beans and plantains. It's one of my favorite things to eat, and it's easy to make. So let's take a look. First things first, the beans. Now I could have prepared them from scratch, but I like a deep pot to make them, so can is the alternative. Here's the can that I chose, and I like the organic variety, but feel free to choose your favorite brand. I tend to like black beans more, but this works for pinto as well. This can opener cuts the side of the can and creates a smooth edge. You also don't have to touch the lid. It's pretty cool. We'll set these aside for now. Let's prepare the onion. We only need a small piece, and any type of onion will do. If you don't know how to cut an onion, it's pretty easy. Here I'm creating a grid. Divide the onion into two by slicing down the middle, but not all the way so it doesn't fall apart. Then make some row cuts. Next, cut across. Then the last bit is a straight piece of the onion, which is easy to cut. Now let's prepare a plantain, which can be a great side to refried beans. When I buy plantains, I like to get ones that are close to being ripe. Usually they are yellow, and that's okay. Just let them sit a couple of days until they start to get darker, but not too much. You can cut these any way you want, but here I just remove the ends. Then I make a small slit and run my finger through to remove the peel. Next, I'll cut 1/2 inch or 12.5 millimeter pieces at an angle. If they are all the same thickness, then they'll all take around the same time to cook. Okay, let's make some refried beans. First, we need to blend them. Add the can of beans we opened earlier and grab a spoon to take out what gets stuck at the bottom. If you add the liquid that comes in the can, it makes it easier to blend them. I don't mind the liquid of these beans because the ingredients are to my liking. I've seen people rinse them, and if so, you could probably add a bit of water to make the blending easier. Beans can be tough on your blender's motor if you're making more than one can. For blending, we'll also add two important ingredients. First, just a small squirt of mustard, about 1/8 of a teaspoon, or up to 1/4. Then I like to add about 1/4 teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce, or about 3 squirts. Blend the beans until they're smooth. Let's heat a pan. I'm using a medium-high heat. Add 1 to 2 tablespoons of oil and let it heat up just a little bit. Now add the chopped onion. Fry the onion until it's a little bit charred around the edges. The more charred it gets, the more of that flavor it will impart. Once it's fried to your liking, add the blended beans. Here I'm using a thin and long spatula to get every bit of beans out of the blender. I think it's important to move the beans because they make a sort of crust if you don't move them often, depending on how high your heat is. They also boil easily, and the more they boil, the more they'll splatter. Canned beans don't have much added to them, so I like to add a little bit of powdered garlic, about 1/4 teaspoon. Also add salt to your liking. I add a good pinch and then taste to adjust. Cook the beans until they thicken a bit and aren't as liquid as they were when you first poured them. Set them aside with no more heat for now. In a non-stick pan or a seasoned cast iron, add a little more oil needed to cover the bottom of the pan. Let it get hot a little I'm using medium-low heat as I don't want the oil to smoke, and I want to cook the plantains slowly. Since the pan isn't scorching hot, I'm okay with placing these by hand and away from me, but do exercise caution. You can put them in with some tongs to be more safe. Once you see some browning on the edges, they're probably ready to be flipped. Check them, and if it's a nice golden brown, you can flip them. Fry them until they're browned on both sides. I like to check if some still need a little more browning on the sides and try to fry them a bit. Remember to heat the beans before serving, since they've been sitting for a bit. Once the plantains are nice and golden brown, remove them from the pan and remove as much oil as needed by patting them down with a paper towel if you like. Time to serve! Oh, this looks good. This combination of refried beans and plantains are amazing. Add a little sour cream and it ties everything perfectly. It's a delicious dish that I try not to eat too often. After all, it's fried carbs, so it's definitely on the cheat meal side of things. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did in making it. If you make this recipe or you just love it, let me know. And also comment what's your favorite way to make beans and plantains. Subscribe if you would like to help this channel grow and watch future videos about food and tech. Cheers!